Councilmember Jimenez did share that he was running a bit late, so I think we don't expect him until a little later.
But I'm here.
Yeah.
Oh, you are? I apologize, Councilmember.
Got here.
Thank you so much for joining us. Well, I'm going to open up the committee meeting. This is October 8th. I'm sorry. I was stuck in September. I was going to say a date in September. It's October 8th. This is the Neighborhood Service Education Committee, and we're going to call it to order. And then we're going to begin with roll call. So, Tony.
Jimenez.
Present.
Foley.
Here.
Esparza.
Here.
Carrasco. Arenas.
Wonderful. All right. So I see that we don't have anything under, oh, excuse me.
Do you need a motion to defer?
Please, I apologize. I'm having a bit of technical issues today, and so I can't see.
Okay, I'll move to defer item 1, the review of the work plan, to December 10th.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And could we, Tony, could you help me out by sharing the agenda with me for a second, please? I apologize. I'm having some technical issues on my end.
Are you guys seeing it?
No, not yet.
No, I'm trying to pull it up, but it's.
Oh, it's just my screen sharing is paused. I don't know why. I've never had it pause.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
There.
It is.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I apologize about that. Okay, thank you for that deferral, Councilmember Esparza. Seeing that we have nothing under consent, we are going to move quite quickly. I think we only have 2 items in today's agenda, and so we're going to move into item number D1, which is City Council Policy Priority. Number 4, and it's downtown or citywide parks, operations, maintenance, financing, district status report.
Okay, this is the clerk. Can we just call roll real quick?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I apologize.
It's okay.
I am off today. My internet is off, and so then therefore I am off as well. So
Yeah,
thank you so
I
much,
understand
Tony.
that. Jimenez.
Present.
This is yes or no.
Yes.
Foley.
Aye.
Esparza.
Yes.
I still Crosco is absent and
Oh, I'm here.
Oh, there you are.
Here.
You're not they didn't alphabetize it right.
Yeah, no, and I had difficulties with my machine.
Okay, so I have unanimous. Now you can go ahead.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much, Tony. Now we're going to move into that item. I believe, Angel, your team will be presenting.
Yeah, let me turn it over. I see Avi and Andrea from PRNS, and so let me turn it over to them.
Thank you, Angel, and thank you, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Avi Otam. I'm the Interim Deputy Director of the Parks Division and Parks Recreation and Neighborhood Services. Joined today by Carolina Camarena, our Public Information Manager, currently acting as the EOC's EPIO, as well as Michelle McGurk, Assistant to the City Manager in the Office of Administration, Policy, and Intergovernmental Relations. And I know Michelle has currently serving in another role in the EOC too, and I apologize, I'm blanking on that one in the moment. But we're here today to give an update on the City Council Policy Priority number 4, Downtown and/or Citywide Parks Operation and Maintenance Financing District. And let me share my screen. All right. So we provided an update. We last provided an update exactly 1 year ago in October of 2019. And we're providing that presentation on the screen to jog everybody's memory. A year ago exactly, we presented to the committee that we had done some extensive tax modeling of a potential parcel tax in a few different forms, and that we were about to get into the field with public opinion polling, and we would return to the City Council with those results. Since then, as we know, quite a bit has changed, starting with the City Council's acceptance of the department's 20-year strategic plan, Activate SJ, in December of 2019, shortly followed by an information memo that came to the City Council with the results of the public opinion polling on some various parks, parcel taxes and bond measures that we were testing with the community. Although those models did not meet or surpass the 2/3 requirement necessary for a parcel tax, they did show encouraging movement from prior polling on parks parcel taxes. And of course, the world changed completely in the spring when we went to shelter in place, and our department changed right along with it. We pivoted significantly, always to meet community needs in new ways through food distribution, which has averaged 1.35 million weekly meals of service, through childcare and learning support, through virtual recreation and our virtual recreation website, which has garnered 15,000 visits since April, and most recently through enhanced census support and outreach. And of course, throughout, our parks, trails, and open spaces have served as a reprieve from shelter in place, emphasizing the critical importance of park access and access to open spaces and green spaces, and the 10-minute walk and the need for a 10-minute walk. And although our data on park visitation has always been a little bit sporadic, during shelter in place, we partnered with an urban planning program at Stanford University to examine park use in light of COVID restrictions. And what we've learned is, since the start of shelter in place, the average park in San Jose has gotten about 200 visits, which if you extrapolate across our entire system means that on any given day of the week, upwards of 40,000 people are visiting parks, trails, and open spaces in the city of San Jose. And while that data is pretty great, we thought it best to really just show what we're doing. And I want to thank our communications team for developing that amazing video that we put out on our social media account just last week. So looking ahead, the City Council approved a memorandum by Council members Arenas, Esparza, and Prales with continued direction to work towards dedicated funding to reinvest in San Jose parks, and especially in our family-friendly programs, continuing widespread community engagement on our deferred maintenance infrastructure backlog and the lack of adequate funding for our programs, working towards a potential ballot measure in 2022 if economic conditions allow, and between now and then, of course, resuming public opinion polling and refining our expenditure planning and re-engaging with our stakeholders. So with that said, we recommend that you accept staff's verbal report, and we are available for your questions.
Thank you. Let me first go to our public. I see that there are no blue hands, and may I just remind you that if you'd like to speak, you could please raise your hand. And if you're calling by phone, I think it's Tony, #9. That sounds about right. I see some people nodding their heads.
Sorry,
All right.
I kept clicking unmute and it wasn't unmuting. It's *9 to raise your hand.
*9. Yes, I know. Now I'm just used to saying hashtag for that pound sign. All right. I'm going to go to my colleagues and see if there's hands are raised. I don't see that there's any hands raised. So I'll go ahead and, oh, there we go. Councilmember Jimenez.
Yeah, thank you so much. Just a quick question. Obviously, part of the discussion here is having, a mention of a bond measure or some sort of thing that we're going to take to the voters to raise some money, which I think is important and very supportive of that. But what it brings to mind is I'm curious if someone can just talk about the current status of the outstanding expenditures that have yet to be spent as it relates to Measure P, because I think that's going to be something that's going to come up time and again, right? That we've been, for example, some folks are going to say we never got the soccer complex, things of that nature. And so I know Columbus Park was a focus of some of the, I think the last sort of tranche of funds related to Measure P. And so I'm wondering if someone can just touch on that just briefly.
Yep. Councilmember John Cicerelli, Director, Parks, Recreation, Neighborhood Services. You're right, Columbus Park is where we put a big chunk of this money. We also did a variety of smaller projects all over the place. So some examples, well, in your district, right, we're gonna replace the natural turf with artificial turf at Ramick. Some of this money went into the PAL Stadium where we're gonna do the same thing, a turf conversion. But the bulk of it is definitely in Columbus Park. That will be the end of the money. So all the money is programmed. It's just in various phases of being spent, whether it's design or construction that's going on right now. Okay.
Do you expect that money is going to be utilized and spent as folks expected? Well, not as expected, but there's going to be utilized before we move forward with something to put before the voters, I guess. And the reason I ask that is I have concern that some folks are going to latch on to the fact that we still haven't finished using or utilizing. Maybe it's program, right? But we still have some outstanding projects from the previous bond. And I'm just curious as to how, if we hope to resolve some of that or get that fully built out prior to going to the voters.
Yeah, I don't know if Columbus Park will be finished. And that would be that should be the last of the money to be spent. But we probably will have broken ground on Columbus Park by 2022. So construction may have already begun by the time we're in front of the voters. But I do want to talk about the bond measure for a second. When we look at this as an administration, we've actually leaned away from a bond measure where we borrow a lot of money and build a lot of stuff. And we're leaning more towards an assessment that provides an ongoing stream of revenue every single year. And that can focus primarily on operations, right? Taking care of what we have. But we can also use that money to build. And that's the great thing, that the flexibility in an assessment and an ongoing source of revenue. And that's really what we're after here, is figuring out how do we long-term invest in PRNS, and not just in the building buildings, but actually operating programs and providing services to the community. So when we can always bond against that revenue stream, right? You could take, for example, I talked with the finance department. And basically for every $1 million per year we wanted to put away from an ongoing revenue source, we could borrow 10 million against it. So you can leverage that money into borrowing, or you can just save some of it and spend it directly on infrastructure, which we would. But it has this whole other aspect that we think is vitally important.
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate that. Sorry, I was just maybe I shouldn't be doing that, but using terms very loosely. But essentially, we're trying to find a consistent revenue stream. And I remember my time on the Parks Commission talking about other cities that do this, that don't have the same difficulties we have when the market sort of dips and stuff. I think it's Chicago, and I think even Vallejo has something similar, right, is my recollection. But
yeah, well, the county does too.
Well, right. I know they're sitting on a lot of money there at the Park Trust Fund. They're there for the county and other sources of revenue. But yeah, I'm totally supportive of it. And I apologize for the loose language that I've used. But I know part of my questions just came from simply being on the Parks Commission for about 6.5 years and consistently hearing, right, some of the folks that come forward and have concerns about what we were, I'll put in quotations, promised or not, and where the state of those projects were. And so I just always think I'd like to think that it'd be good to have those completed as much as possible. And I'm glad to hear that we're probably already going to have broken ground at Columbus when we come forward for asking for sort of a new way to fund some of this much needed work. So thank you for all the work. I appreciate it. Enjoyed the video and keep up the good work.
Thank you, council member. Council member Foley.
Thank you. Just a couple of things. So, John, so when we're talking, and I know this is down the line, we're just investigating funding sources, but when Councilmember Jimenez said bond, I didn't hear that we were going to borrow. I heard bonds as a form of taxation on our residential or our real estate. And is that when you say assessment, is that what you're looking at? More of a what I would call a bond versus a parcel tax attached to a property owner's property tax bill?
Yeah, that's certainly one of the major possibilities, right? In what form that takes, or how that's calculated, or how different properties might be assessed, whether or not you include commercial in that or not. All those are questions still to be answered, but something along those lines, yes.
Okay, and I don't remember now. I suppose I could look at my property tax bill, but we don't have any assessments for parks on our tax bills right now.
Well, you have an assessment from the county.
Well, I meant
for county parks.
I meant for the city of San Jose.
No,
So
not
how
for the
much is
city.
that on my tax bill for
Yeah.
the county? Just curious.
Yes.
I should
It
pull
is.
it out and look. The other thing I wanted to say is that really enjoyed the presentation and particularly the video. I wondered if it would be possible for us to have the video accessible so we might be able to post it on our social media outlets and help make a case for funding PRNS in a subtle way, just showing them what all the good work that you're doing, because truly our parks are enjoyed by everyone in San Jose, and we want them to be as the best quality that we possibly can, and funding them makes absolute sense. And I think when we shut them down during shelter in place, it really hurt our residents significantly, because they weren't able to go and do the things they like to do in the open space. So anything we can do to spread the word, please let us know. And with that, I will also move the staff report. Move to accept the staff
Second.
report.
Thanks.
And I'm
can
finished. Thank you, Councilmember
I,
Ray.
can I make a shameless plug too?
course.
We'll make sure to share that video, but just at the end of last week, we also shared with your staff, and you can check in with them, some things about preschool and learning pods and rock after school. We've got flyers in multiple languages that you can use. We've got a variety of media tools, and in there is also a link to another video that our staff did that walks people through what it looks like to be in one of these classrooms with social distancing and everything. We're trying to break down some barriers of fear. Councilmember PRNSEssential recommended that to us a couple weeks ago, so we went ahead and produced that. So that's out there as well. So we would hope you could share that stuff too.
That's great, and we already have. We put it in our newsletter already that was distributed Monday, so we're good to go. Thanks.
Thank you.
Councilmember Esparza.
Thank you. Thank you again for the video and the great videos that you've shared on Facebook for us to share. And yes, I included preschool in my newsletter, and we've been pushing it out to the community. So thank you for giving us all the flyers too. That was awesome. I had a question for Avi. I think it's Avi, in terms of the public polling. I'm assuming that will be done in 2021 or like late 2021. What's your timeline for that kind of part of this project?
Thank you, Councilmember. Actually, I'd like to hand it off to Michelle.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Hi, Councilmember. Thank you for the question. You know, I think we will reach out to our pollsters and see what they recommend.
Yeah.
What they're seeing from other communities following the November election. You know, we will be watching some of the local measures very closely, such as Measure T, that the renewal that the Open Space Authority has on the ballot. And looking at what happens around the state, this is going to be a very interesting election for revenue measures. And then starting to look at what works for our community. So, you know, I think my gut tells me is that people's feelings about parks in San Jose are going to be in a very different place, given how much everybody's been using the parks. I see, you know, even the tiniest little parks that as I get out and walk around, that, you know, you might only see 1 or 2 families, are very busy right now. So, and just anecdotally, I think that that's really making our residents see how valuable the parks are. So where we start with those conversations and how soon we start polling is really, we'll rely on our experts who've been partnering with us all along, and how it compares to the prior years.
Yeah, of course. And I think, you know, right now we're still in the middle of COVID, and who knows what next year will look like. And so I think it's, there's going to be a lot of fine tuning. So yeah. All right, great. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Councilmember Esparza. So I'm gonna pick up a little bit where you left off in terms of childcare. And by the way, there is never a shame when you're promoting such a wonderful service, John. So please fire away anytime. Our community needs to know about it. We need to know about it. I think you always do a really great job when you are challenged with something. And, you know, you're one of the departments who always has to strive for creativity, because unfortunately, you're typically the first to get to feel some deep cuts when our economy is not doing so well. But at the same time, our community depends on you so much, because they have little money or change in their pockets for entertainment and just to share time with their children during, you know, non-work hours. And so it's a vicious cycle. Really, really vicious cycle. And so I'm glad to see that we're actually exploring something that would be permanent in terms of funding strategies. And so I wonder if we could, and Councilmember, I think it was Foley, you have the motion on the floor. I wonder if we can include in that motion, and before you accept, or even consider it, excuse me, I wanted to ask Angel if we could have, you know, I'm thinking about adding to just really fleshing out some of this work plan that we have, in particular, preparing, you know, for the 2022 ballot, you know, maybe some work plan for funding strategies. I unfortunately did not follow all of what you were saying, John, in terms of, oops, are you all still able to see me?
Your video's off. We can hear you though.
I'm so sorry. We're getting some work done here on our street, and it seems like for whatever reason, it is really messing with me today. So anyways, what I was saying is I was hoping that I hope that this could be useful, having some additional direction, and maybe even exploring the community interest in distance learning. And as Councilmember Esparza was talking about, you know, we don't know what next year is going to look like. We don't know what the discomfort level will be with our families in terms of sending their kids to school, but maybe at a greater comfort level, having a distance learning pod like we do now, and over time maybe really building that up. I was just talking to Santa Clara County Office of Education, and their preschool and childcare points of contact, and they were telling me that they were very concerned about the decline in enrollment for preschool, for transitional kinder, and kinder for that matter, because kinder is not mandated by the state. It's not obligatory. So some parents can actually skip out. And so I asked them to look into that a little bit more to figure out whether it was impacting a certain population. But if I were to guess, I'm going to guess that the way that we typically structure, or schools typically structure TK and preschool is a half day. And it's very rare that we see a full day. And so for working parents, it's so difficult. I'm a working parent, and it was, kicking my butt when my kiddo was in preschool, and I had to do some of that pickup. I don't know how others work it into their schedule if they don't have the level of privilege to manage their own schedule on a weekly basis, right? And so I'm going to guess that maybe it's working parents that have that's the population that has the biggest impact in this, and they have to unfortunately make that decision of maybe leaving their kids just in regular childcare or home childcare provider or an informal care instead of enrolling them into pre-kinder, preschool, TK, any of those options, and even kinder, like I said. And so they actually approached me, and this is an extension to all of my colleagues who have interest in this area, to help them with some marketing strategies there, because over time, people's attitudes need to change over time, and it's part of really a whole strategy with a lot of different stakeholders. And so, my interest here is not necessarily to divert the attention to childcare or to distance learning. I think we're doing a really good job in terms of filling some of those slots and filling and allowing some of our families to get back to work through this service, but maybe exploring some of that. And like I said, not to divert any attention away from our parks, because I know that our parks are front and center right now. We all rely on them for this open space, especially in areas that there isn't very much open space. But I'm hoping that maybe we can just take a look at the community interest in childcare / distance learning. We've been dealing with lack of enrollment, I think, in some parts of San Jose, and I think it was earlier this year. Oh my gosh, this is 2020, so I don't know if it was this year or last year, but certainly sometime in the past, you've all brought us this presentation in which we saw the high enrollment of our preschools in some parts of our city, and where there is overrepresentation actually of childcare and quality preschool settings, and then the lack of enrollment and lack of these opportunities in areas of low economic, socioeconomic status. And so to me, it goes a little bit hand in hand in terms of, who uses our parks, who is the consumer of our services, and in this effort to make sure that we are equitable to all of our communities, I think that we can at the very least explore. We're already going to be asking some questions. I think it wouldn't be too far stretch, and I'm hoping to get your feedback on that, Angel.
Yeah, no, thank you, Councilmember. And just to kind of respond to kind of your first question. So one of the things that we're going to be doing is we're going to be rescoping a work plan based on the council direction that we received. There was the council memo that you and Councilmember Esparza and Perales put forward, and that provided us direction to really focus in specifically two areas. One, community engagement, especially as it relates to getting a better handle on deferred maintenance, which of course impacts the quality of our parks. And then finding funding sources to address those needs. And then secondly, the continued exploration of some form of a ballot measure aimed at generating revenue to pay for this work, right? Because as you noted earlier, one of the downsides of this, is that usually when there is a fiscal crisis, departments like Parks and Rec are typically one of the first to get hit, right? And so we need to find a way to sustain this work outside of the general fund. if we're going to be, sustainable long term. So we will definitely do that. And then to your last point, I think what we're going to be doing is really, identifying what are the emerging needs, especially based on kind of this during and post-COVID environment that we as a department need to pivot, not only PRNS, but also the library and other community serving departments as well. So yeah,
Right.
so noted. We will work that into a work plan and then report back through this NSC path.
Wonderful. And so, Councilmember Foley, I wonder if you can incorporate that into your motion.
I'm sorry, what am I incorporating? I
Angel,
followed the discussion, but I wasn't sure what I was adding in.
no worries, Councilmember Foley. I know that there were some things that were just a little bit outside of what the direction that we had originally given through a former memo. And so, Angel, I know that you agreed. I don't know if you think that we need to include it in a motion since it's a little bit outside of the scope. And basically, Councilmember Foley is fleshing out a work plan for funding strategies.
No problem. No, that's a good idea. That's good.
And asking to see if they could consider evaluating the community interest in childcare, since they'll be taking a poll, and I think it's a bit closely related. Certainly, it's in the realm of PRNS, and so I'm hoping that we can take this opportunity to also ask about childcare / distance learning pods.
Sure, that's fine with me.
Perfect. Thank you. So we got a second on the floor. We got a motion. Let's see if we have any additional comments. It doesn't look like we do. All right.
Chair Arenas, I just can't raise I don't know why I can't raise my hand on this.
The blue hand?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, please,
No,
Councilmember.
just very quickly, thank you. This is a great discussion, and I'm glad that this item is coming to NSC. And of course, we know that especially right now, I think the parks have always been used, but especially right now with COVID, I don't have to keep saying this. It's been said. I'm preaching to the choir. We have a great team that really understands this, but I think it just bears repeating. You all know District 5, East San Jose, Councilmember Esparza, and of course, every district has a little bit of what I'm about to say. I represent a district that has very tiny homes, very tiny apartments, and of course the overcrowding in those apartments as it is. They have no backyards, they have no front yards. There's nowhere for children to exercise. There's nowhere for children to develop large muscle movement, which from my time in First 5 with Councilmember Arenas, the more we learn, almost ignorance is bliss. Before I went into First 5, it was almost better not knowing. After knowing, it fuels your fire, because you need to find those spaces for all these little ones that are bouncing off the wall. I can only imagine what these families must be experiencing as we're locked up in our homes. And I've got 3 teens who are going batty, and I have space. I don't have a lot of space, but I have more space, I would think, than the average East Sider who's living in these overcrowded conditions. And they're they're going a little nutso in our home. And I've taken to running in different districts because it's the only thing that's really keeping me sane, I would say, in these times. I've hit the trails at Cunningham Park. I've gone to different parks in Willow Glen. I'm hitting the pavement, even though it's really bad on my hips and knees right now. But I'm just like, really seeing things up close and personal when you're running, well, fast walking in my case. But I have to tell you, you know, being able to explore this additional funding source and being able to have a plan is it's critical, and it's much needed, especially for these underinvested communities. I think it's critical for the entire city, truly, because we're using our parks, we're using the playgrounds, we're using the trails, and San Jose should be a leader in um, in being able to add to the quality of life. And what better way than to make sure that our open spaces and our neighborhood parks and our regional parks are you know, just places where people can just find a haven, especially during these times. And I'm such a proponent of it. And I discovered what a saving grace it can be when I went to New York, of all places, when I went to New York in the middle of crazy town over there, you know, to see the investment that they made in places like New York, like Los Angeles. It's they're beautiful parks. And so we, to be able to offer this to our residents, I think is a wonderful thing. So thank you to my council colleagues for putting forth the memo that they did to explore this and to see if our own residents are willing to essentially tax themselves in order to be able to bring these amenities into their neighborhoods and to have state-of-the-art facilities. I think it's worth it. I think our children deserve it. I grew up in parks because I grew up in a very congested area as well on the west side over by the Del Monte Canneries, and I loved it. You couldn't get me indoors for anything. I didn't know anything other than the streets and the parks and the public pools. And so, you know, so thank you so much. I wanted to raise my hand, but I just couldn't raise my hand. I don't know what's going on here, but thank you so much, Chair.
Thank you. I was smiling at the beginning of your comments, council member, because as you were saying, you don't know how parents are doing it, with all these children. As my daughter's like, "Are you on mute? I need to tell you something." And she's already interrupted me, but she's needed to do that at least three to four times during this meeting. But that's our reality at this moment, right? And like you said, council member, we're in a very different situation, potentially more privileged than others, maybe not as much as other families, but definitely in a position where we can manage our own schedules and balance our families. But not everybody can do that. And so I know that our Parks and Rec are doing their best to make sure that you all pivot with the times and that you provide some of these opportunities for our families to get back to work. Maybe even just to have some me time, right? And that's important. So I just want to once again thank you for doing that during this pandemic, as well as that was a great video. Avi, I really liked it. It really just shows us all the work that you're doing, and I love that you featured Project Hope in there. Anyways, all right.
If I could add just one last thing about childcare and preschool, when I had three little ones, and they're all about 15 months apart, my last three. So at one point they were all in diapers, and I would just say next as I was changing diapers. And when they all started well, they didn't all start preschool. When one started preschool, the other two were in childcare. I went back to work. I literally spent 2.5 hours on the road, picking up, dropping off, and this was during my lunch break. And I was not in a privileged position. I was in a very difficult situation, nearly got fired, as I was a mother who was returning back to work had to get very creative in terms of what time I came into work at 7:30 a.m., had to leave to go back and drop the first child off to school. It got so wild at one point, and then had to work really late hours in order to make up that really long lunch break. And you know, and the administrators wouldn't work with me in terms of synchronizing the children's pickup hour. So it was almost a 2.5 hour lunch break that I had to take in order to pick up three little ones
You wanna-
from three different schedules, because they just were so difficult and wouldn't work with a working mom who had three little ones. So we need to always be aware of the hardship that we're placing on parents when we're trying to help them and support them. That's what childcare and preschool should be about, versus uh, you know, creating an additional burden. And this is about child development. You know, there's this very small window of developing these synapses, making these connections. And so you want to provide these opportunities, but sometimes it just creates these hindrances and these challenges. And I came very close to losing my job because they were so difficult to work with a working mom. And I had a 3-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 5-year-old. So hard. It was it was probably the toughest time in my return back to work. So I just wanted to add that, council member. Thank you.
Thank you for adding that. And, you know, while you were speaking, council member, my team just sent me the number. They, Santa Clara County Office of Education typically expects maybe a decline in enrollment of about 100 in our county. This time they saw 700. And so it's quite a difference. And, you know, I asked, you know, is it the live birth rate? Because, you know, we always think about some of that catching up with us from our last recession. And they said not necessarily. It's not the live birth rate. It's not the low numbers, and it's not the exodus of some of our families from here. So it's an option that people are making and not enrolling their children to one of those three options: TK, preschool, or kinder. Anyways, thank you, Councilmember Carrasco. Maybe we should talk offline about this, because this sounds like this is something that needs our support as well. All right, let's get back to this motion on the floor. And we have a motion, we have a second. Tony, would you do the honors?
Jimenez,
Yes.
Foley,
Aye.
Esparza,
Yes.
Carrasco,
Aye.
Arenas.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, thank you for that presentation. And we are on to item number D2. And this is Age-Friendly City Initiative Update in San Jose Age-Friendly 3-Year Action Plan. And I see that we have some added guests, so I'm going to guess we're going to hear from them on this presentation. Thank you.
Yes, good afternoon, Council, Committee. This is Andrea Flores-Shelton, Interim Deputy of the Recreation and Neighborhood Services Division. I'm joined by Susan Nash and Jeremy Schaffner, who I will introduce in a moment. But I'd like to take a quick opportunity to update the committee on the senior and older adult related efforts of the Emergency Operations Center. With my other hat, as the Community and Economic Recovery Branch Director, we do have the responsibility for developing a focused place and people approach. On our vulnerable communities, as you know, are our priority, and our elders are one of our highest priority populations. We do know that the probability of premature death due to COVID rises exponentially from the age of 50, 60, 70, 80, and beyond. And also we know that the city has roughly about 13% of our population is over the age of 65, and that equates to about 135,000 people. So as we're moving forward, and we will be coming back to full council at a future 3.1, we're going to be working internally on understanding and assessing the isolation of those older adults. And really what we're talking about internally is the type of isolation and the level of isolation. So we know we've been talking extensively, right, about the digital isolation for many of our older adults, but we also know there's transportation mobility isolation, and then something that PRNS has spent a lot of time on, the social emotional isolation, right? And if we can't be connecting with our older adults in the community center, right, which we're probably not seeing in the next 6 to 12 months, how else can we address those issues? So just wanted to let you know we are thinking, planning, and focused on that population and developing our approach and strategy moving forward. So with that, I'm going to turn to topic of the day, age friendly, and really pleased to introduce Susan Nash. And of course, you're familiar with Jeremy Schaffner, our recreation superintendent for therapeutics and seniors. We'll be doing next steps, but Susan Nash joined us about a year ago through the Encore Fellowship. She's also an affiliate with Stanford Center for Longevity, comes with a great background also as a lawyer. And I will say the multi-year effort of bringing an age-friendly action plan to this stage really got whipped into shape thanks to Susan and all of her organizing skills. So really thankful that she joined PRNS. As you know, we are the city leader in older adults and senior services citywide, and are responsible to coordinate what is really a citywide age-friendly action plan. Susan coordinated with 9 departments to bring this forward to you, which I think you can see in the summary. Several action items related from policy to programs and practices, from the built environment to gen to gen type of services. So there's a breadth and a depth in the action plan. And I'd like to turn it over to Susan to go over the presentation. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Andrea. Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the committee. I'm just so pleased to be here. I feel like it was a longer journey than any of us thought. I was originally scheduled to be in front of this committee in May, so we all know how that worked out. So I'm just glad to see this one-year fellowship, which technically ended last month. I'm glad to see us have an actual product. So I'm just going to share my screen here. And before I start the brief slideshow, I want to give a big shout out to Andrea and Jeremy and the PRNS team. They provided so much support to me in getting this done, as did people across all departments and people in some of your offices. So it's been a real multi-department effort led by PRNS, but with a lot of input, and that's made it my job much easier. So to dive right in, I don't need to tell this committee that the age-friendly effort in San Jose began long before I got involved. It just as a quick reminder, it began in early 2015 and culminated in a unanimous vote by the City Council to apply for age-friendly status with the World Health Organization and AARP. And that designation, it's a process that you'll probably recall, and it resulted in getting the designation in the fall of 2016. So, of course, the designation is just the first step. It means that a city has demonstrated its commitment to become more age-friendly. It doesn't mean that it's reached that pinnacle. That's an ongoing effort. And the next step set by both the WHO and AARP is the submission of a 3-year action plan. So the action plan effort also began before my time with the formation of an age-friendly advisory council that began meeting in 2017. I've been able to meet with them several times and catch up on what happened in the years before I began working on this. I think it's worth pointing out that when San Jose began its age-friendly efforts in 2015, there were 38 cities in the country with that designation. And now, although it's hard to keep up, at last count, there were 481 cities in the US that have been designated age-friendly. There are over 1,000 cities worldwide, 6 states in the US and 1 territory. So the movement continues to grow. The relevance of creating an age-friendly city is, if anything, even more, even stronger than it was when this city first got involved. And the way I like to illustrate this is to talk just briefly about the changing demographics. This is based on census data from 2017. The world's population continues to age, and this is not just a blip. You can see that we are moving from a pyramid to a pillar. Another way to think about this is that there are 10,000 baby boomers turning 65 every day. This will be my year to turn 65, so I'm acutely aware of this statistic, and that will continue until 2029. It's estimated that by 2034, the United States will have more people over 65 than under 18. So if we just think about that for a minute, you can see that creating environments and programs and policies that include all ages is critical. It will remain critical. It's also important, I think, to note that age-friendly often is associated with just older adults. I love the fact that the logo for age-friendly, again, well before my time, has as its subtext, San Jose, a city for all ages. And that is really the goal of the age-friendly movement, both because everybody gets old. Again, I don't think I have to tell anybody that, but you can see that this progression means that whatever you do now to make the city more age-friendly will benefit all ages for years to come, but also because an age-friendly city has aspects. The easiest example would be the cutouts in sidewalks to allow older people who may need help getting down the ramp, but also parents with children and people with disabilities to cross the street. So there are many, many functions that are age-friendly, but that benefit people of all ages. The other fact I would just point out, and this is with my Center on Longevity hat on, is that the other reason that we have this change in demographics that is going to be with us for a long time is the increase in longevity. And it's estimated that the population of people over 85 in Santa Clara County is going to increase by 600% in the next 40 or 50 years. So it's both declining birth rates and people living longer that have created a semi-permanent shift in our demographics. So the work on the age-friendly action plan, as I said, it began before I got here. Fortunately, most of that work was preserved, and one of the reasons this document is so long, and I kind of apologize for that. I mean, in a perfect world, I would have created a 20-page document, but I really wanted to include the work that had been done before, the community input. This is not Susan Nash's age-friendly action plan. It's based on both the input from the different departments that we'll get to, but also the surveys that were done in the few years before I got here. So one of the main ways that priorities were established and input was received from the community was an age-friendly community survey done by Santa Clara County, but broken out by city. So nearly 600 San Jose residents participated in that. There were PRNS conducted several focus groups to get input, and you'll see throughout the plan, I've quoted some of those, the comments by those participants. PRNS in 2018 did a health and wellness survey with over 500 participants, and that again provided some ways of getting people's views on what they would like to see. And finally, in April of 2019, PRNS conducted a social isolation roundtable. We can talk a little more about that. I know Andrea mentioned that at the beginning in connection with other efforts, but addressing social isolation is obviously a key part of an age-friendly city. Another element in putting this plan together from my end was to look not at age-friendly plans, not at the hundreds of age-friendly plans that are out there, but age-friendly action plans from comparable big cities in California, and also just at some that I thought, where they thought that they'd done a particularly good job. And it was a good review to get some ideas for what kind of action items might be viable and what other cities were doing. So those results are all part of this document that you've hopefully had a chance to look at. And the organization, I'll just speak very briefly about that. Both the World Health Organization and AARP came up with these very interconnected areas in which age-friendly progress could be made. I will tell you that they usually define it in terms of 8 areas. Some cities have 9. It's a very loose template. So there's a lot of flexibility. There's guidelines of flexibility. So it's kind of best of both worlds. And looking at where all the priorities were based on the input we received, we came up with these 7 areas in which we would put our age-friendly goals. I'll say one of the adjustments that has been made by many cities since the WHO began its age-friendly program in 2006 is that number 4 that you see here, communication and information, has now become communication, information, and technology. And I think the reasons for that are obvious, but technology cuts across all of these areas, and having a central way to communicate with people of all ages is critical. So that's how we've defined it in the action plan. And then there's another very large bucket labeled social and civic engagement. I think I'll just use this opportunity here to say that sometimes when people talk about age-friendly, they get very focused on services. What services can we provide for older adults? And obviously that's critical, but equally critical, I would argue, are finding ways to engage people as they get older, mainly because of the social isolation issue that has come up. And I'm sure you are all aware, but social isolation has been compared in a national study to the equivalent of smoking 15 cigarettes a day. So, and finally, I personally think that there's a lot of talent that older people have to offer. I'm sure everybody here would agree with me. And I think that we need to take advantage of that resource. So social and civic engagement is just a critical part of this age-friendly action plan for all of those reasons. And I think it's, if anything, become even more important given where we are right now. So this plan is divided into these topics, and it summarizes first in each topic what's being done by departments and initiatives already. And that was a really interesting exploration because San Jose is doing a lot of really, excuse me, what happened to my mouse? There we go. Oh, got ahead of myself. And here we go. What I discovered was that there were a number of existing initiatives that, although not being called age-friendly, really are age-friendly. They align directly with age-friendly principles. So one of the things I tried to do in drafting the plan was to put everything in there in a way that gives us almost a marketing document for showing what the city's already doing and what can be and should be continued. I'm not going to try to name all of those things in this brief presentation. I've just highlighted a few that I'm sure you're familiar with. Vision Zero, of course, with its goal of 0 fatalities is an age-friendly effort by definition, and including the fact that the median age for pedestrian fatalities tends to range between 56 and 59, and so it's obviously a concern for all ages. In fact, that San Jose was the 4th city in the country to adopt Vision Zero is, to me, I think, an indication of how many age-friendly steps have already been taken. Likewise, the Digital Inclusion Fund, which made its first round of grants last year, and is just one part of the many digital inclusion initiatives that are going on in the EOC and in PRNS. It was important before COVID. It was, as I said, communication and technology cut across all of these areas. I think we have, if anything, have just seen how urgent digital inclusion is now. If you can imagine being in your 70s or 80s, living by yourself and being at home without the internet, it would make the last 6 months be pretty impossible. So So the fact that San Jose was ahead of this already is again an indication of an age-friendly environment that is in the action plan, and continuing those efforts are part of that. And then finally, the Climate Smart San Jose initiative is to me just such an obvious age-friendly initiative at the same time. I think there's a really strong argument. I was saying last night to the PRC that I want to write an op-ed on an age-friendly city being a climate-friendly city and vice versa. If you have a walkable city with public transportation options, that's better for older people. And if you have fewer emissions and a healthier environment, that's also good for older people who are the most vulnerable to climate disasters and disease. So the fact that San Jose has already baked in the climate smart movement is, again, I think, completely aligned with age-friendly goals. So those are just a few of the initiatives that are outlined in the plan. And then in each of the areas, the domains that I showed you earlier, there are action items. Again, I won't go through all of them. I wanted to just hit some of the high points. And chief among them are these two large bullets, which is developing and expanding the age-friendly website, whether that's done just as a city measure or in partnership with Santa Clara County, because all of the Santa Clara County is an age-friendly county, has that designation, and all of the cities in the county have received the age-friendly designation. Santa Clara County was the first county to have all of its cities get the age-friendly designation. So anyway, the age-friendly website is ripe for development to make all sorts of information available to people, since information is the key to action. And right along with that is bridging the other digital divide. I mean, by that I mean, we're all aware of the massive efforts that were undertaken when schools shut down and kids immediately needed internet access. And there's an equal need, as I just pointed out, among older people who don't have it. So that's a high action item, and there's already a lot of movement, at least in the county and among the age-friendly cities, to make that divide close a little bit. So there's definitely progress and interest in that. Then there's some built environment types of action items. I will just say that the covered bus shelters and the safe sidewalks are a high priority for the Senior Commission, and we've heard a lot about that in the focus groups. And then my favorite suggestion, I would just say that when I met with these directors and deputy directors or staff of different departments, I would ask them what they would like to see in the age-friendly action plan, what was reasonable for their department, and what would they suggest, what should say. And the planning department, Michael Brio, whose name I always butcher, but just had this best idea. He said, I think if you really want to look at everything through an age-friendly lens, that it would make sense to add design for an age-friendly city as a strategy to envision San Jose to the general plan, just like it has as a strategy design for a healthy city. So that's just an example of some of the items that are in there and how they came to be in there. Here's just a few more. The public education campaigns are ongoing in pedestrian safety, emergency preparedness, and falls prevention. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If these are age-friendly initiatives that in the plan are to be continued and expanded as needed. One idea that has not happened yet, but that is an idea of what I would call these best practices, is to look into whether San Jose, when the world opens back up again, wants to have an age-friendly business certification. Many cities have done that in the US. It's a model that's pretty easy to follow. And it could be, you would come up with standards for what that might look like. It could be something as simple as a restaurant having, remember restaurants when we're inside and I can't see because it's too dark and I need reading glasses. Some cities will have an age-friendly business certification for restaurants that provide decent lighting and reading glasses. So that's an idea to be looked at. Outreach to retired city employees to come in and provide needed help and their skills to jobs that the city needs to fill is already going on. But it's the Human Resources Department is quite open to trying to drum that up. And then, of course, the library is doing amazing things. One of their programs that is really interesting that they're looking to expand is one that provides a volunteer opportunity for people from different cultural backgrounds in San Jose to connect different cultures to the library. And it was very much a pilot last year, and they are hoping to expand that. And that is the kind of action item that fits into what I was saying about connecting people, giving older people a really substantive way to be involved in the community. So I think that's my summary of the plan. I'm going to turn this over to Jeremy, who will talk about next steps, and then we're all here to answer any questions you may have.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, committee members. Thank you, Susan, for a great presentation, but also all of your hard work and advocacy for the seniors and for our many community members. As we look to the plan and look to next steps as we go to implement, a couple of things that we'll be focused on in our first year would be to align the age-friendly action plan with the current Senior Commission work plan. We've actually already begun these efforts and working to ensure that these two are complementary so that they help each other in moving forward and are successful in meeting many of the action items that have been identified in the action plan. We'll also work on updating our current advisory board. The advisory board, as I'm sure you would assume, was established back in 17 and has had some vacancies. So we'll work to fill those vacancies, but then we'll also work to identify representatives from many of the great initiatives, plans, and efforts that are already in place so that we can create a collaborative effort going forward and continue the work that Susan's already put together. As we've mentioned multiple times, given the new times that we're in and facing a response to COVID and potential reopening and different phases of that, our teams will continue to work to align our COVID-19 efforts with our age-friendly action plan, but then also working to keep our seniors safe, but also reduce social isolation and really support our seniors as they navigate the upcoming phases and changes that could impact them. So our teams will keep this as a high priority and continue to focus on those efforts. And then lastly, we would propose that we return annually to this committee, provide updates on the action plan, provide updates on where we're at with those different implementation items, and gain your feedback and insight on additional items that might need to be looked at. With that, that does conclude our presentation, and we're here to take any questions, comments that you might have. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And Tony, I believe you have an announcement.
Yes, the agenda had the link for smart cities. It did not have the link for this meeting. There were several people on using the link. I'll show you. I'm going to share my screen.
Oh, okay.
So people who are viewing by, where is my screen? There it is.
By phone call.
People who are viewing on the Civic Center TV or YouTube, if they want to make a comment, the phone number is down here. The web ID was using the Smart Cities ID here. And for those of you who are on, you are using this link. This is the correct link. The link down here was incorrect. So if you're listening, well, if you probably weren't listening by phone because you were able to access it, but if you're watching TV and you want to make a comment, please dial 888-475-4499. The webinar ID is 935-244-15809. So that's been fixed, that's up. I was contacted by a couple of people. They've been emailed the correct link several minutes ago, actually more like 10 to 15 minutes ago. But I just wanted to have that screen up for a little bit so people could see what they're supposed to have seen.
Thank you so much, Tony. I appreciate that. And so with that, I'm gonna look and see if there's anybody who has their hands raised. And I see a phone number ending. Are we supposed to say the first three numbers or the last four numbers, Tony?
The last four. And I'm
Last four. Okay.
in a practice where I'm going to delete those first three, but I was busy fixing this link, so I didn't get to delete those first three.
Okay, well, I am not jotting them down at all. But call the last four numbers ending in 5140. Go ahead.
Hi, I'd like to give Tony a big thanks. Every time there's a problem with Zoom or the phone number, she's got to do a lot of work, and it's always rectified rather quickly. But as residents and taxpayers and citizens, we shouldn't have to deal with this. But luckily, we have somebody there at City Hall who knows how to handle things quickly. I'm glad it's not the City Council, because you better believe they'd never let me through. So I want to thank Tony again. I also want to thank the Park Service. The people who handle the Rose Garden have been doing a great job dealing with cleaning up that place and keeping it good. Even when there's a lot of vandalism there, they're doing great work. I don't have many good things to say about this city, but our Parks and Rec, for what money you guys delegate after the cops and firemen who do nothing, by the way, there's no money left after those guys take everything for the pay and the pensions and everything else. And then you're going to want more money in taxes to pay for the parks. No, have it come out of the cops and firefighter fund. They're millionaires when they retire. It's the least they could do. Maybe it would be something they could write off on their taxes. Regardless, I don't think there should be any more taxes for parks. The city should be able to find money with all the fees and the fines and the taxes and everything else. You guys should be able to find money for the park. What are you guys good for anyway? I'll tell you what, if Magdalena Carrasco's parks were in good shape, we get a 5-hour lecture on how people of color don't have a decent park to go to. So you know what? Pretend it's Magdalena Carrasco's park, and it'll be
Okay,
perfect,
sir,
and
I
it'll
will
have
need you
enough money.
to I will need you to stay on focus, please. Okay, thank you.
I am focused. But you know what? This is frustrating the way this city runs things. It's frustrating. Don't you guys understand how much the taxes and the fees and everything are here? I just got a fine.
Okay, thank you, sir. Next, we have Diana. Please go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi, this is Diana Miller. I'm the project coordinator for the age-friendly initiative with the city, with the county of Santa Clara. And so I just want to offer my support for the age-friendly action plan of the city of San Jose and say that our county has also approved a 3-year action plan, and many of the things we'll be working together on. I've appreciated the ongoing partnership through this initiative, and I look forward to continuing working together on continuous improvement through the action plans. During the pandemic, I would say that I've talked to a lot of other age-friendly cities around the country, and a lot of things that we would say would be an added value is that a lot of the age-friendly efforts is a lot of cross-agency and a lot of different people coming together through all the domains. So it really allows for a strong partnership, and it makes once emergencies happen, it really makes our communities more resilient and more efficiently available to respond to the emergency as is. And I've seen that within our county and with the city of San Jose as well. So I support the plan and look forward to working together in the future. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, I needed to unmute myself and begin my comments. I was speaking to myself. All right, Beatriz, you're next. And please go ahead and unmute yourself and begin your comments.
Thank you, Ms. Arenas. So my name is Beatriz Lizola. I live in Eastside San Jose. I just wanted to share my experience when it came to, you know, what you touched on, which was declining enrollment. So my daughter turned 7 on, I'm sorry, she turned 5 January 7th. The cutoff time apparently for TK was January.
Miss Beatriz,
Yeah.
I'm so sorry to interrupt you. I apologize. We did move on from that item, but we're more than happy to hear your thoughts in open forum if you would be very kind to wait for us. We're on the age-friendly action work plan. And so if you'd like to comment about that, we can restart your time.
That sounds good. Thank you.
Wonderful. All right. Beatriz, do you want to comment on this item or do you want to wait until public open forum?
I will wait for open forum. Thank you, Ms. Arenas.
Wonderful. I really look forward to you. Please don't hang up. Okay, so next we have Mr. Beekman. Go ahead and unmute yourself and begin your comments.
Hi, thank you for the meeting today. Thank you to Tony for reading out the web number to call. She put it on the screen, but it was a little bit difficult to read, and that she read out the number. Thank you. You know, to have public comment at this time, better late than never. Thank you. I wanted to offer to also to the first person who spoke today that, you know, we're going to go through a kind of a difficult month here in October. And you know, with the fall election coming up and everything coming up, we kind of want to be working like on our best behavior and our good practices. So I hope he can like really learn to speak. You know, he doesn't have to cuss everything out. He can have his opinions about things, but he doesn't have to do it so violently and strongly and with so many, you know, words that are really uncomfortable. And I hope you can take that lesson to heart. And good luck with your meeting today. And yeah, sorry for whatever problems I caused yesterday. I hope we can work on those issues as well this month. And thank you.
Chair, you're muted.
Thank you, Councilmember Esparza. I was just saying I was going to wait a couple of seconds to see if there was anybody else who had joined us from the public, seeing that we had a bit of an issue with our link. Seeing that there isn't anybody else, I'm going to go to my onto my colleagues and start with Councilmember Foley.
Councilmember Arenas, we all have days like this on Zoom and technology.
Thank you for saying so.
You know, it's amazing we actually get any work done this way, frankly, but it's what we have, so we do. First, just to echo Tone or thank Tony. Tony, as soon as I texted you that we were having difficulty getting access for members of the public, you jumped in and resolved it as quickly as you could. So I truly appreciate that. And then also emailing the residents to make sure they had the information they need. So thank you very much. Also, Susan, I am so excited. Susan and Andrea, I'm so excited to see this age-friendly initiative come forward and continue on, I should say. I've been very concerned about our seniors and how they are dealing in terms of COVID and the shelter in place. So it's so exciting to see that we have steps in place that we've had that we're also continuing to move forward and making sure that this city is friendly and accessible to everyone from birth to 100. And I just want to echo how vibrant many of these older citizens are. I had a conversation today with a resident who's 90 years old who wants to honor her dad, who would have been 128, but she has a very strong memory and love, of course, for her father, and she wants to share with us all of what he did in the legacy that he led. But the reason I mentioned her and others that we know who are older is they have so much to give. She used the term fun many times in her conversation with me today, and I could tell by the passion in her voice that this 90-year-old woman was a lot of fun. And I bet when she was a mom, she had 10 kids, 31 grandkids, 33 great grandkids, married 72 years to her husband still. He's still alive. They're all still alive and healthy. Isn't that remarkable? So the energy, the knowledge, the awareness, what we can learn from these people is so important, and we should not lose it. Our young people would benefit by creating a connectivity between our older folks and our younger folks. It not only makes the younger folks feel that someone loves them, someone cares about them, but it does the same thing for our older folks too. Our older folks need to feel vibrant. They need to feel like they're giving back. They need to feel loved and connected. So anything we can do from an age-friendly standpoint is really, really important. And as someone who is heading up towards that age-friendly year, not quite at the 65, but getting there, 61, and having full knee replacement this year, I know how important mobility is and how that really harmed my quality of life for 2.5 years to not be able to move because of the pain in my knees. So now that I've had it replaced, I feel like a whole different person. But every day our senior citizens live with pain, and pain that they've either resolved or that they continue to live. But we need to make the city accessible from their pedestrian standpoint, but also from their mind. We need to continue to keep their mind and body strong. So I'm very passionate about this issue. This is one of the policy areas that my council office is focused on is seniors and how to create a more active, vibrant life for them and protect them in many ways too from scams and other things that are occurring. I have a question for you about granny parks, though. In the survey, it mentioned something that we should have granny parks. Have we considered, we have dog parks and we have kitty parks, we have accessible, handicap accessible parks as well. Do we have any consideration for granny parks? And if we need a pilot, I'll volunteer D9 for a pilot program.
I will say, just from the action plan standpoint, that is one of the items, is to research the feasibility of it. I'm not going to, since I'm on my way out, I'm not going to speak for Park and Recs and what they're actually going to do, except to say that if you want to see some really cool pictures of granny parks, Bilbao in Spain has got a really good one going, and there's one in Wichita, Kansas, and they're really cropping up all over the place. So, but it is there as an action item to research the feasibility.
That's really exciting.
This is not just the coordinator, but we are also one of the implementers of the age-friendly action plan. So we'll be doing our own sort of assessment of what we can continue. And I just want to note, Gen to Gen is one of our premier program areas where we are trying to lift and continue to use the vibrancy of our older adult population to inspire and engage with our younger folks. And I will say earlier, when John and I were meeting with our ROC program, right now, currently, we are we're trying to continue some of our Gen to Gen efforts, for example, at Berryessa, and hopefully we're going to be doing that across all of our programs so that we don't lose, even in these difficult times, we don't lose the Gen to Gen efforts. But we'll be reporting back, and granny parks, we will make sure we give you an update on that.
Great. When we're looking at the Gen to Gen program, take a look at the demographics of our aging populations and where they reside, and make sure that we have programs, Gen to Gen programs all over the district. And because looking at District 9, I consider it, and some District 9 residents aren't going to accept this, of an older population. So there might be a good target population within D9 that could benefit or could help contribute to that program as well. You really touched on so much that I wanted to mention. One thing I did notice is the website and the upgrades, but just a concern that we depend very often on technology as a way of communicating with people, and our seniors may have, unless they have a young person around, a millennial or younger, who can help them with technology, it's not that easy for them. So we need to make sure that we're not just depending on technology to reach out to these folks, but we depend on old-fashioned methods like paper and mail and even phone calls, blast phone calls to their landlines might be beneficial too, to give them a heads up about various programs that we have. So that just a caution to not depend only on social media or email or internet or Wi-Fi or technology as a way to connect. These folks have a fear of technology. Not all. Some are really savvy. Some are way more savvy than I, and I'm not very savvy. So it's you know, some are really there, but many of them are not. Many of them are intimidated by it. I actually think that was it. I just want to praise you for the work that you've done so far, encourage you to take it as far as you possibly can. These are people who can definitely contribute to our society and want to. And this will help their isolation. It will help us feel better about everything that we can learn from the stories they can tell. You just have to ask them a question and you'll be on that phone call for half an hour, 45 minutes, learning wonderful things that you didn't know, but they make you smile at the end of the day. With that, I'm finished. Thank you very much.
Thank you, council member. And what a blessing to have spoken with somebody who was 128, you said?
No. The daughter's 90. The dad passed away a long time ago. He would have been 120.
Oh, he would have been 120. Okay. Still 90 is an accomplishment. I mean,
I do have a client who's 102, actually.
Oh, wow.
Really vibrant, lives in D2.
Wonderful. Yes.
Just amazing.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for sharing with us. Councilmember Esparza.
Thank you. And it was great to, first off, the presentation was awesome. I think it's a really exciting topic, and I love the tagline of designing for an age-friendly city. When in a previous life, I was part of the county's senior agenda, and there was a lot of discussion saying that, you know, if you design something for, you know, children or seniors, you're making everybody safer, right? And it's that whole idea that we're making everyone in our communities safer. But I had a question about the gen to gen with, can you talk a little bit more about that, about the intergenerational programs? Is it like UI Kais where we're combining little ones with seniors for programming?
Well, I'll touch on that for a minute. And Jeremy, I don't know if you want to jump in, but prior to COVID, we were doing a significant amount of gen-to-gen work through camps, through after school, and many times we would pair it with the folks that were involved in either our senior nutrition program. So we were using the community center as a place to link what had once been sort of siloed programs and linking those groups together, whether it be making sure that our seniors, we timed like preschool graduation so that our seniors could join and see their community little ones, you know, promote. So there are all sorts of opportunities. Right now, it's more about writing letters, kind of doing things where they're not in person, but making sure that they're still communicating with one another. So in terms of and everything's really shifted, right? It's shifted back, and really, I'd say in the last month or so, we're trying to again sort of reinstitute sort of the continuity of our services before, and really think about what does gen to gen look like in this sort of, you know, red and orange stage. So at this point, I would say it's pretty minimal, but we are definitely looking to see how we can bring it back and be really intentional about it.
Can I just jump in and add something on that? The encore.org, which is the organization that sponsors my fellowship that allowed me to be with the city for a year, they did a report on intergenerational engagement last year, and they featured 4 cities as leading the way in that, and San Jose was prominent in that report, and the mayor wrote the foreword, and that was based on the work that had been going on in PRNS, cooking classes and other kinds of intergenerational engagement. So there was a huge amount of momentum, like everything else. You know, we are where we are, but I do think that the city already has a leg up by being featured in that report, and it's and I have seen how committed the team is to continuing that. I just thought you might want to know about that report if you haven't seen it.
Thank you. Yeah, no,
Absolutely.
and I'm familiar with UICI and POSO. It's some of the things that have been going on for a while, but a little less familiar with some of this, which I personally love it. I've been out at sort of on the nonprofit sector at seeing intergenerational activities, and it's an amazing thing to witness. So I'm a fan. I wanted to thank Diana Miller for calling in today. And she brought up something really important that I wanted to hear a little bit more of how we are partnering with the county on their senior agenda and their age-friendly efforts. How are we complementing our efforts?
Do you want? So I'll take the first part of that at least. Diana Miller was probably the second person I met outside of PRNS when I started at the city a year ago. We have been in almost constant contact, including this morning, because I'm on a work group, partly through this age-friendly work and partly through the Center on Longevity stuff, on digital inclusion that is countywide. She has sponsored a number of age-friendly summits and events throughout the year, and she's, if you look at their action plan and our action plan, I did shamelessly copy some of her graphics and vice versa. So it's been a very good partnership. She sits on the Age-Friendly Advisory Council for the City of San Jose. So I would, although I'm going to stop talking because I'm on my way out, but I will say that up until this point, we've worked very closely together. She and I have become good friends just through this. So it's a coordination that I think is bound to continue. And now I'll shut up about that.
Right.
And just to add, Councilmember Esparza, we will continue those efforts. We really value our partnership with the county. We've attended many of their agenda services, different meetings, all their summit activities, and we will continue those efforts to see about how we can work collaboratively in supporting both of our agendas and moving these items forward. And I just wanted to regress just a tiny bit on our agenda gen, because I know our senior services team is very proud of, and prior to this was working with our partners in the library, where our seniors were actually doing reading time with the kids through our preschool programs. We were also in the development of working with our teen centers, given their passion for technology, and actually using and having our teens help educate our seniors on social media, how to log into email. That was definitely in the preliminary phases and did have to be put on hold, but I know our team is very excited to bring many of those things back in as soon as we get that opportunity.
Cool, and that would be like a great little sort of tech support army for our seniors as we go through COVID. That's awesome, because there is a huge online component right now. I know I'm a former caregiver. I took a couple of years off and actually moved in with my mother to take care of her full time, and so kind of went through a lot of these challenges together with her. And so some of the things that she does as part of her her mobility classes. Those mobility classes have gone online now. And so we had, in fact, a couple of weeks ago, they had a bring your child / family member to class day. And there I was, in the middle of lunch, picking the apple and picking the sock off the floor and all that kind of fun stuff. But that online component is really, really important. And so having those teens be that tech support army as part of our digital work on the digital divide, having Wi-Fi, small cell towers, build outs that we're doing for the little ones who are learning online. These are also important tools for our seniors in our neighborhoods as this programming goes online. So I just wanted to kind of bring out that how important that online component is. I definitely know not everybody is online, but I was very surprised at how some of the mobility classes went online, and a lot of it's turned into, honestly, part of it is that what do you call it, social emotional support, or a lot of it is turned into a way for people to kind of stay in touch with their friends and their little networks, so they're less socially isolated, but they're still able to do some mobility work as well. And so I just wanted to bring that up. And then I also wanted to bring up or sort of echo the age-friendly business certification. I know that this is a growing field, and particularly like in the real estate industry and other industries, as they help people stay in their homes or adapt small other homes. Like there are a lot of different components to age-friendly businesses and different types of certifications out there that all kind of relate to this issue. I think it's a huge opportunity for the city, particularly as we do have some propositions before us that if they do pass, people will be able to downsize without having tax burdens. So it would be interesting to see if we had more information within our county and our city on those kinds of opportunities. And that's it. I'll stop talking now. Great job. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Esparza, and thank you for sharing your experience in caregiving. I know it's a tough position to be in, and there's many of us who, I also, my dad lived with me for his last 4 years of his life, and we all really understand some of the challenges of isolation, especially if your mother passes away before your father. And typically females are the source of social circles, if you will. And so isolation is really prominent among a lot of our seniors. And with that in mind, I was thinking about how we are pivoting. I know that there was a slide that said that we were going to align our current efforts, our pandemic efforts with the long-term work plan for the strategy. But what time frame are we talking about? Because I don't know I know that we're pivoting as quickly as we can in terms of what we can do. You've done some online classes for our seniors, but this action plan and our work to pivot is essential. So how quickly will we be able to adapt and align our efforts that we are taking that are taking place now and this work plan?
So couple things in terms of the work plan. We're going to need to coordinate again with about 9 departments on sort of prioritizing. And as Susan pointed out, a lot of these things were existing, right? So I think Digital Inclusion Fund is one of those that I think it's in the pipeline. It's a priority, right? We've got a lot of pieces of that we're moving forward. So there's alignment there. I would say in terms of kind of the broader picture of the, and I think if you might be talking about like sort of the EOC work, we have some work to do in terms of moving into a broader understanding of how we get at isolation, again, citywide to our most vulnerable, understanding where they are, and how with our partners and through, again, sort of red to orange and beyond, what is it that we can do from a feasibility standpoint and a resource standpoint, that we're focused on developing that plan and reporting back. And then I think there's just other alignments, right? Like the Senior Commission has had some priorities. How do we align with that? So I think there's a lot of work to do. We will be working with our department partners to understand where the low-hanging fruit is, right? What can we see progress on in the short term, and what are those other kind of council priorities that would need more resources or attention?
Absolutely. And I think there's a really good marrying of initiatives between the family-friendly initiative and this age-friendly initiative, and how right now it's been a really tough time for families, but even before the pandemic hit, we were still seeing living arrangements that had multi-generational, right, families in a house, because that's the way that they could afford to stay in San Jose. There was an exodus of families, and we saw it in the overall enrollment across our city for schools. And I think there hasn't been a lot of changes in terms of that family arrangement, if you will. And so I think there's a lot of work. There's different generations that we can really build into this, and I know it's meant to do that, because it's meant to cover all ages, certainly. And I'd offer having our family-friendly initiative as closely related or working in alignment as well. And maybe we can have a report on an annual basis on our family-friendly to see how does it align with our age-friendly initiative, and how that does. And so it'd be wonderful if I have a motion, whenever the motion comes, that you can incorporate that into the motion. But I'm going to go back to that timeline. I'm glad that we're thinking about how to bring things into fruition and work with some of the easiest things that we have. And maybe how to time things. And right now, VTA is developing their work plan for 2021. And I know that our seniors are a good part of our transportation, public transportation consumers. And so I wonder if we are coordinating or participating in that work plan, so we can incorporate some of these initiatives or acknowledge some of these challenges that we know our older community faces.
So we can take that back to DOT, because they would be the lead on that coordination with VTA, and they are, per the action plan summary, would be their item. And so again, through our effort, we can continue to keep track of that, but we would seek guidance from DOT.
And I'll just add that of all the departments I met with, DOT sent 6 people, and they were all wildly enthusiastic about age-friendly initiatives. So I think you have a willing partner there. At least that was my experience.
I don't doubt it, Susan, and I'm sorry to see you go, and how quickly the turnover is for these wonderful fellows who come into our age-friendly initiative, and it just seems like in a blink of an eye, and then we're off to another fellow. But with that comes a lot of wonderful ideas and passion and a different perspective. So I thank you for your service that has allowed us to really enrich our work plan. So thank you, Susan. I just want to note that work plan for VTA does have a timeline. And so I just encourage you to take a look at what that timeline is, so that we don't miss an opportunity to really incorporate some of the challenges and barriers that we've seen from our community. I speak from I think it was about 2 years ago when VTA was reducing some of their bus lines. and they reduced some of the bus lines around Welch Community Center that's off of Tully and King. And there was a lot of folks who came to the neighborhood association and said, you know, they're not going to their community center anymore, because they don't know, you know, since this bus didn't stop in front of what they normally saw the bus stop, they just were trying to have an alternative to get to. Actually, they were going to Councilmember Carrasco's district, because there were some, I think, some salsa classes that they were really interested in. And so I just thought what a fail this was. And so we talked to this particular gentleman, but he, you know, he would engage a lot of the other older community in that particular neighborhood to be a dance partner. So, you know, it was to his benefit to connect people to the bus line. And so we finally what we had to do, and I want to thank my team, is that they had to point out that bus line was rerouted to meet at Eastridge. And so all he needed to do was really cross, you know, it's a long street, but still he just needs to cross over on Quimby, and then there he is at Eastridge, and go to the other side of Eastridge, and there's a transit center there. But change is difficult, right? When you're used to something, and then if nobody explains it to you, or there isn't any you know, warm handoff, we can contribute inadvertently to the deepening that isolation for a lot of our community. And so I just think, you know, the VTA decisions that are going to be made in this upcoming year are going to be just absolutely crucial for all of our community, not only our older community, but every age group. Certainly our older community, you know, we're mainly focused on them and thinking about them. And in order for that not to happen, I think we need to also take a look at how our community centers and our libraries, how the bus lines are matching with some of the lunch hour times. And here in Evergreen, we have a very predominant senior center, if you will, within our community center. There's a lot of classes that are just focused on our seniors and focused on our children. Those are the two demographics that they mainly focus classes on. And a lot of them said, you know, they couldn't really stay and talk with folks because they had to quickly just get the food from the food distribution and meet at the bus stop in front of the community center. And they missed some of that socializing because of the bus line route, right? And the timing. And so in order for them not to miss the bus and have to wait a whole other, I don't know, whatever it was, hour or so, they instead just forewent some of that socializing. And so I think there's some possibilities. We have the capacity to maybe change some of our programming versus maybe changing VTA's bus line schedules. I see that maybe as an uphill battle unless we participate in this work plan, right? And for them to consider us as a partner when they're making these changes into their lines. So that was just the second item. Yes, go ahead, Andrea.
I just wanted to say that's a really great point, because I think in the last 2 years or so, while I think you're all familiar with our Northside Community Center downtown, our GRACE participants really were vocal about the bus line changes that impacted right there on North 6th. And so we heard from our GRACE members. At the time, the senior nutrition program was operated by another nonprofit, but it is now our senior nutrition program. So we have noticed that VTA decisions have a great, they can disrupt our programming, and they can disrupt sort of people who really rely on community center participation. And I think GRACE is a very unique and high need community. And so that was really tough for our community. So I just wanted to share that we've had that experience, and we make sure that our members know where they can voice their opinions about those kind of disruptions.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. being that we don't know what next year is going to look like, and if we bring more certainty to the lives of our community members who rely on some of these public transportation modes, that it'll ease some of those changes. So I'm going to move into some of another question, and I had my question about how is the Office of Race and Equity incorporating their objectives and goals around senior citizens and this age-friendly initiative. I'm going to guess that this is probably maybe part of the next steps.
Yeah, Councilmember, let me take that one there. And we don't have it all completely figured out yet. As you know, we're right now in the process of launching and opening up the Office of Race and Equity. However, for starters, what we're looking at is, as the first starting point, is looking at existing work plans and strategies that each department has. So for example, PRNS just last year, you approved the Activate SJ plan, right? So that plan will be looked at and reviewed through a race and equity lens, right? And then to your earlier point, it can also be viewed through an age-friendly lens and a family-friendly lens, right? And then, so our goal internally is going to be to really kind of, synthesize those together and really identify those points of intersect. And by applying those various lenses, then that'll translate into actionable items that will then be incorporated in each department's work plan. And then the goal would be for each department to then drive and implement those plans based on input that is informed by, for example, race and equity, age-friendly, family-friendly, as an example, right? So that's our preliminary thinking. We don't have it all completely figured out yet, but that's our initial thinking on how do we operationalize this work going forward.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And we are going through also some changes internally, and they're good changes, but these changes require a lot of work, a lot of really thoughtful attention in terms of how we're going to integrate this. And so I'm absolutely I have the faith that you will do what you say you just described. And let me describe one of the concerns that I have behind this is that there's some really wonderful strategies in order to reduce isolation, to increase intergenerational contact. But sometimes, and I think Councilmember Esparza, you talked about this a little bit, but sometimes our outreach is limited. If we are reaching out through the internet, then we're going to capture a segment of that population. And in my district, we do have I'm sorry. I live right next door to them. The Villages, for crying out loud. It is one of those days, Councilmember Foley. Oh my gosh. So they have wonderful open space. They address their mobility with, these little golf carts. They have a golf course on there. They have bocce balls. I mean, you name it. I wanna live there ultimately. I'm not there yet, but I can't wait because it just sounds like a lot of fun, right? And then a lot of great social and political clubs. And they're a target for some of these programs that are produced out of these objectives that we have. And I'll say that there's some privilege incorporated in there. Of course, there's some folks who might have purchased homes long ago, and it was really accessible to maybe middle class families. But I would say that is not so now. And so if we bring together between generations, we really have to take a look at some of those older adults who are not that easily accessible, and how do we build outreach strategies to those folks, and how do we reach them? Do we use more traditional mail, phone calls? I think you mentioned this, Andrea. Picking up the phone and actually making calls versus just using internet-based strategies. And this is part of the reason why I was asking about the race and equity, because when we use really internet-based strategies, we know that we're leaving perpetually a community out of the conversation, and really out of the benefit of really great intergenerational activities and programs and learning from each other that we all recognize that our senior citizens have to offer. And so my challenge would to you would all be to really dig in and see how can we really incorporate some ongoing strategies and going to maybe places where seniors already congregate. And I don't know if you remember this, Angel, but and I know that this strategy was put on hold a bit, but I partially funded with First Five a specialist that would go out to Eastridge and produce some programming that would incorporate grandparents who were, because this is the way that they get their exercise. They go around the mall, and it's safe, and they're not exposed to sun, and once again, you have food and all the commodities of a mall. And so to me, one of the approaches is, let's go to where we know some of these senior citizens already congregate, and at this point, I don't know where they're going, because inside malls are not optimal, and I'm really just worried about what they're doing in the interim. And that's the reason I asked for the alignment between our pandemic efforts and then this work plan. I know that it weighs heavy on your minds as well in terms of supporting our senior citizens, but definitely those who are most hardest to reach. Everybody suffers from isolation. I'm not going to say that it's based on economic status, but sometimes poverty does create an additional barrier for some of our senior citizens, and I'd like to see that incorporated into our work plan.
Absolutely. That's definitely going to be top of mind. And again, we, in this COVID response, we have seen significant increases in outreach to seniors through our food distribution, networks. And I think tapping into that infrastructure and even tapping into that service so that, kind of, for lack of a better term, they're kind of like interceptor opportunities, right? It's like they come for food, but it also gives us an opportunity to also engage in and connect them to other resources, right? And so that's what I meant by, our challenge and opportunity internally is going to be to really connect the dots, not only within the department, but across the city, across departments, to better serve, our elderly community. And I used to know the appropriate term. I think I used the wrong term in terms of elderly community, but it's slipping my mind. I guess I've been out of PRNS for too long.
Don't worry, I did the same thing.
Yeah, I'm sure staff will correct me right after this.
Older adults.
But yeah, but the spirit is there. Right?
Older adults, Angel.
Older adults.
Older adults, but that could be me too.
Yeah,
I was about to say, are we all?
Yeah, that would be me too. So yeah, but I think this is a real rich conversation, because this really, and it's a very timely one, because these are exactly the issues that we're trying to really kind of vet and then prioritize, because ultimately, with so many competing interests right now, we got to really be clear and focused and disciplined about what we do. And so I think the age-friendly strategy, the Activate SJ strategy, the family-friendly, all those are strategies that can help us, lean in the right direction. So, so noted.
Great, thank you. I appreciate that. So those are my comments. I don't believe anybody else has raised their hand, and so do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Wonderful. And Councilmember Jimenez.
I'm sorry, do we have to add the referral to the October 20th in the motion? Council meeting?
Is this cross referenced, Angel? Cross listed to City Council?
Yeah, I believe this is. Let me defer. John, you want to remind me? Is this a cross reference? Because I do recall seeing that on the agenda on the pre-work.
Yes,
Okay,
for
so,
the
yeah.
20th. Yes, it'll be at the next council meeting, actually.
Oh, wonderful. So, just to be sure, hopefully, Councilmember Jimenez, you can incorporate that into your motion, as well as asking for a family-friendly report from our department.
I have no problem with that. I don't recall, just during the course of the comments, I don't recall exactly what the department said about that. That doesn't present an undue burden on staff to bring that back. That's not a problem.
So I think what we could do with that, if this is what the committee wants, is there's a cross reference to the council on this report,
Right.
and then what we could do is take the recommendation to add a family-friendly item on the work plan for NSC, and that way we could kind of connect the two. If that works, that's something that perhaps we can do. I know John and I have talked about this a little bit about, as we've been identifying all the moving pieces that we're trying to synthesize.
Yeah, that works. I mean,
Absolutely.
that sounds fine. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you, Councilmember Jimenez. And yes, and I didn't mean like, within the next 3 months, certainly next time that this work plan is developed, and I would appreciate that item being on. Okay, so we have a motion.
That includes a cross reference and then the bringing it back to the family friendly connection.
Yes, incorporating the family friendly initiative report into a work plan. The
What Angel
report
said.
into NSC. Yes, what Angel said.
Yes.
All righty. All right.
Jimenez,
Yes.
Foley,
Aye.
Esparza,
Yes.
Crosco. I'll come back. Arenas.
Here, yes, yes.
Okay, yes for both Crosco and Arenas. Thank you.
I'm so sorry. All right, so we are almost at the end of our meeting, and this is open forum, and I think we have definitely one speaker that I think that was Beatriz. I think that might have been Beatriz who wanted to speak. So I encourage you to please raise your hand. Okay, wonderful. Go ahead, Beatriz. You can unmute yourself and begin your comments.
Thank you, Ms. Arenas. I just wanted to touch on my experience when it came to the enrollment of my daughter's transitional kindergarten. So, and this is probably, I don't know how many of the 700 kids that you had mentioned were affected by this, but so she turned 5 on January 7th. The cutoff time for TK was the 2nd. So I asked for an exception. I asked if the class didn't fill, can I bring her in? I pretty much feel like it was a black and white process. The book was pretty much thrown at me, and over 5 days, I feel like she lost a whole year of instruction. And I know about the first 5, and I just feel like those two just don't align. So I just kind of wanted to bring that to you. Maybe anyone found value in it, or maybe those guidelines need to be revised. And then when it comes to this committee, and what your job is to really provide lifelong education. But I feel like the last couple times I've been on these calls, and I think I started sometime last year, I haven't really heard anything specific when it comes to education. Living in the East Side, I have 2 kids enrolled in Overfelt High School. I've been working very closely with Vito Chiala, which I know you're familiar with. He's a great person. I can tell you that last year, every board meeting I attended, it was very stressful. I cried at most of them. But when do you get to look into their budget and how they're affected, and how a school really can't run with the funding that they have right now? So if you, and I believe Ms. Carrasco is who represents the part of my city. I mean, I would really appreciate it if you reached out to Vito and you can just hear what's going to happen next year. You know, I know it's COVID, so it may be a little different, but it's very heartbreaking when it comes to, you know, these marginalized communities. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Lizola. And I just want to quickly comment before the next speaker is that our funding is really works parallel with one another. Although we have been working with our school districts to enhance some of after school programs, our recreation programs. Certainly our library has a lot of programming that adds great value to our students' education. They also have opportunities for folks to finish high school diploma and some alternatives. So I would encourage you to look into our library and of course our PRNS. We are at a very limited capacity because of the pandemic, but I appreciate your comments and I just wanted to provide that to you. Okay, Mr. Beekman, go ahead.
Hi, thank you. If I could possibly comment on the first item today, it was about the Parks Department working in the downtown area, and I
Mr.
just wanted
Beekman, we need to hear you speak on an item that was not on the agenda.
well, because the meeting was cut off earlier this afternoon, can I speak on it now?
Oh, I apologize. Yes, of course. Go right ahead.
Very nice of you. Thank you. I wanted to offer quickly and just make it quick that the work of the housing department in 2014 and 15, you know, they wanted to really work with the downtown area. And I don't know, I just thought it seemed appropriate to mention it at this time as an idea if whatever the housing department's working on with the downtown area can help the Parks Department in the first item. You guys know my feelings about open public policy ideas, and I just really hope that, you know, open public policy with technology is the ideas of civil rights and civil protections, and just, you know, those ways can invite, you know, both kids and older people to the ideas of tech, I think very well, and it invites community spirit, it invites how to be, you know, a good part of the community. And I think it can help the age issues you're talking about with technology in the last item. And that's about all I wanted to say today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Beekman. And the next caller with the last four digits of 5140. Go ahead and unmute yourself and begin your comments.
Once again, a big thanks to Tony Tabor today. She does great work. I wish she was in charge of paving the roads. We wouldn't have any problems with potholes and everything, and the rough roads that haven't been paved for many, many years. At the same time, this city wants to build new villages. I vote no on any villages. At the same time, I hope they get built so I could tell you how terrible they were going to be, and they will be. They won't be done right. They'll be done as chintzy as you could believe, just like our road repairs, just like our city infrastructure that doesn't work very well, like the microgrids with the solar panels and everything else. It's a disgrace. People complain about broadband access. We pay plenty for broadband, and we're 1 or 2 miles away from fiber optics, so we have super slow internet, and we pay dearly for it. Meanwhile, the city wants to make sure that people get it for free or very low cost. We probably have better broadband than what I pay for, which is a lot per month. It's a disgrace. PG&E, any of the utilities just completely take advantage of the residents in this city because they realize we have no representation. The city doesn't care. They want to build villages. I mean, think about that, a village. Are you kidding me? This isn't like Europe in the 1300s. I mean, who are you people? You want to give the road diets? You can't even fix the roads, but you want to give it a diet? Look, right now, every one of you on that city council should take a good hard look at yourself and make sure the roads and the potholes are fixed in your district, and fix this Zoom. Tony Tabor shouldn't have to run around trying to fix Zoom the day of a city council meeting. It's disgusting. Zoom is a crappy company. I don't know why you have them as a vendor. There's got to be something better than Zoom with 15 different phone numbers. How are old people supposed to call up and call into city council meetings? It's a total pain in the ass, and you guys know it. I think you guys do it on.
Thank you, sir. And with that, that's the end of our meeting. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great rest of the day.